When you know this, because obviously this character is so complex, and so how do you kind of approach it from an actor standpoint? Because like you look at this and you're like, you know, what is day one like for you?
Day one's very daunting and very scary, and then you gradually just chip away, because I think it's less scary when you can identify so much of yourself, or sort of you have an understanding immediately, an immediate in with somebody that I've had before with other characters. And with this one, it was just a sort of quite a frightening prospect and a mindset that I just had no understanding of and no frame of reference. And so I did a lot of research. I read books. I spoke to friends of mine who were recovering alcoholics. And I've worked with alcoholics. I've been around it. I've had friends who are that way. And then I watched documentaries, and that was really helpful. It was just a skin that was oppressive and heavy, and I needed to know what it felt like.
To then play it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different levels of how drunk you are and how kind of depressed you are. So how, did you have levels in your head like, okay, today is going to be like level 10, you know, like how did you?
Yeah, I had to kind of temper the whole thing, and I was always going back to, because a lot of the film is told in flashbacks as well, and that idea of what we think we see and don't see is so real in this film, and it's frightening for her. And so I just needed to really track every day, like, where am I now? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? And what's just happened? And because you shoot out of sequence, and so I think before I started the film, I just tempered everything so that I knew that there was going to be a trajectory, you know.
Rachel's the best, worst investigator. Like
the worst Nancy Drew ever. Well, that's the thing. I always thought of her as the worst Nancy Drew ever, because really, she's just trying to make sure she didn't do it. That's what I feel her main purpose is yes, she's obsessed with this couple, and yes, she's lived vicariously through them, but she's so afraid of herself.
The way Tate kind of approaches the film also, because it was very interesting, because the film to me is very, it felt like a Nordic kind of crime thriller.
Totally, yeah.
And so even the final scene, which I'm not going to spoil, it was really scary because it's not played with these kind of, it's a really plain, so can you talk about shooting something like that? Because I think in another person's hands, it would have gone in these kind of...
I think that, you know, the intention from all of us involved is that we wanted it to be as ugly and truthful as possible. And that there's something beautiful in that. And I do see what you're saying. There's something, you know, sort of Scandinavian feel to the film. We have a Scandinavian cinematographer who I have to credit with being like one of the main reasons that the film has that look that it does, because she just brought so much of her own vision to the equation. And the film is so visual. It's such a visual piece. And so I think that it was important for all of us, Tate included, like never to glamorize anything. And he was unafraid of the darkness, which I think is why it feels so unsettling to watch, is because it feels much too close to home to be comfortable, you know.
My favorite stuff of yours is these monologues that you have, where you kind of expose yourself in kind of extremely raw ways. And I'm just wondering what it's like to shoot on the day of, and the camera doesn't go away. So really, it's just how many takes with these.
I feel like I'm a 3-take person. You know, I think that's usually what I feel is it's usually on the 3rd take that it's the best one. I'm not sure. Sometimes it's not. But those scenes they require all of you, and so I think often I approach these scenes, which are heightened and very emotional and nerve-wracking. I never plan out what I'm going to do, and I don't rehearse them. I just turn to Charlotta, the DP, in the bathroom of the raging alcoholic scene. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, neither do I. And so we just did it. And that's what was cool about this experience, is because nothing was too over-planned, and Tate gave us so much, you know, trust. He had so much trust in what I wanted to do that I never felt straitjacketed. And so the idea of discovering, you know, as you do it was I think why the scenes feel as raw as they do, because they usually were the first time I'd done them.